Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a really cool story coming out of Kenya's education system. It's all about how a brand new, forward-thinking curriculum, well, it accidentally created this huge paper problem for teachers. But the really interesting part is how a clever digital solution is completely turning that challenge on its head.
So I want you to just picture this for a second. Imagine you're a teacher, and you're actually really excited about this new modern curriculum that's supposed to make learning better for your kids. But then, bam, you get handed this stack of paper that's hundreds of pages long, and that's for just one subject. I mean, this was the reality for teachers across Kenya. It really makes you wonder, right? How on earth are you supposed to manage a mountain of paper and still have time to, actually focus on your students?
And that's exactly what we're going to tackle in our first section here, the curriculum paper problem. See, Kenya's new competency-based curriculum, they call it the CBC. It was a huge, huge step in the right direction. But oh boy, with all those super detailed guidelines, it also brought along a massive logistical headache for educators.
And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, the curriculum guide for a single subject could be hundreds and hundreds of pages long. It's like being given a giant, super dense instruction manual that you have to flip through for every single thing you do every single day.
Yeah, unwieldy is putting it mildly.
But the day-to-day frustrations were about more than just the amount of paper. The real problem was all about access. Think about it. A teacher couldn't plan a lesson from home because, whoops, they left the giant binder at school. They'd waste so much precious class prep time just flipping through pages trying to find one specific learning outcome. The core issue was really simple. The information just wasn't there when and where they needed it the most.
Okay, so with a problem this obvious, you just know there has to be a better way, right? And this is where the story gets really interesting, because we're shifting from the problem to the solution. EduPoa looked at this curriculum chaos and decided to tackle it head-on.
So, what was their big idea? Well, they called it complete digitization. And this is a really, really important point. We're not just talking about scanning a bunch of paper and making a PDF. No. This is about breaking down the entire curriculum into structured, interconnected data. Basically, turning it into a language that a computer system can actually understand and work with.
And the scope of this project? It's just massive. I mean, they digitized every single piece of the curriculum for every single grade level. We are literally talking about a student's entire educational journey, from their very first day in pre-primary all the way up to their final year in grade 12. The whole thing.
And the level of detail here is just incredible. It's not just, the subjects, it's all the little building blocks of the curriculum. We're talking about all the main topics, or what they call strands, all the specific learning outcomes for assessments, even the suggested learning activities. Seriously, everything a teacher could possibly need is in there, all organized and ready to go.
So, when you do all this detailed digitization, you get a pretty revolutionary result. And that's what we're going to talk about next, what it means to put the entire curriculum right into a teacher's pocket. This right here is where that whole accessibility problem we mentioned earlier gets completely solved.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That mountain of paper we were talking about earlier, all of it, every single strand, every learning outcome for every single grade, it's now right there on your phone. A device that teachers already have in their pocket every single day. That's not just an improvement, it's a total game changer.
So what does this actually look like for a teacher on a Tuesday afternoon? Well, let's go back to our grade 9 math teacher. Instead of digging through that huge binder, they just pull out their phone, they log in, tap grade 9 math, pick the topic they're teaching, the strand, and boom, instantly, everything they need is right there at their fingertips. The learning objectives, the core competencies, the assessment guides. It's just a super clean, super intuitive workflow.
The difference here is just night and day. The old way, slow, manual, and you had to be wherever that giant book was. The new digital way, it's instant, it's searchable, and it's on any device, wherever you are. I love this analogy. It's like the difference between fumbling with an old paper map versus just using the GPS on your phone. But here's the thing. The real magic of this system goes way beyond just being a digital library. Because the curriculum is now actual data, it can be woven into every single part of the teaching process. And this is where things get truly transformative.
Okay, so this is where it gets really powerful. A teacher goes to plan a lesson, right? They can link it directly to a specific learning outcome right there in the system. Then, when they make a quiz or a test, it's tied to that exact same outcome. And you know what that means? It means things like progress tracking and creating reports can be automated. We're talking about saving teachers countless hours of paperwork.
And the end result of all this, It guarantees that everything happening in the classroom, from the way a lesson is taught, to the tests that are given, to the reports that go home to parents, is perfectly, 100% aligned with the official national standards. Those are the ones set by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, or KICD. It just brings a whole new level of consistency and quality to the table.
All right, so let's start to wrap this up by taking a step back and looking at the big picture here. Because really, this isn't just a story about some cool new tech. It's a story about the future of teaching itself. It's about fundamentally changing what a teacher focuses on every single day. And this quote, I think, just says it all. The feedback coming from schools that are already using this system is crystal clear. When you take away the soul-crushing administrative burden of managing all that paper, teachers are freed up to do what they actually got into the profession for, to focus on creating amazing, engaging, effective lessons for their students.
That shift is absolutely profound. A teacher's role literally evolves. They go from being a manager of paper to an analyst of student progress. With all this automated tracking and clear data, they can spend their valuable time figuring out which kids need extra help and which topics the whole class is struggling with, instead of just checking off boxes on a form.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. When an entire country's curriculum stops being just words on a page and becomes structured, usable data, what's next? What new possibilities does that open up? Could we start to see truly personalized learning paths for every single student? Maybe even systems that can predict which students might start to struggle before they fall behind? The possibilities, honestly, are just starting to unfold.